And welcome back to Chicago Bulls Insider. Today we're talking about the NBA Summer League as the Chicago Bulls come back to beat the Milwaukee Bucks 102-96. We're going to be recapping all the action that took place. Next, we're going to be talking about the NBA preseason as the Chicago Bulls preseason schedule drops. And so before we go ahead and we jump into all that, I first want to remind you to slam dunk on that subscribe button, just like Matas Buziels, slam dunks in games. And so in exchange for slamming on that subscribe button, I'm going to give you nothing but daily content around the Chicago Bulls. So make sure that you hit that like, you hit that subscribe, and you join the Chicago Bulls Insider family as we talk nothing but Chicago Bulls basketball. And so with that being said, let's go ahead and let's jump into it as we're talking about the NBA Summer League and the Chicago Bulls coming back against the Milwaukee Bucks. And so I must say that if you did watch this game, it was definitely tough to watch at first. The Bulls were certainly struggling here, but they were able to put it together in the second half. Ultimately, they were able to surge past the Milwaukee Bucks. And so I think that there were two MVPs on the night, and we did have some other good performances, which we're going to talk about here in a moment. But let's talk about MVP number one, and I think that it was Jahmir Young. I think that Jahmir Young was definitely fantastic tonight, especially the way that he scored the basketball. And so 37 points plus 21 in the plus minus box score. You see that he led the Chicago Bulls there. He did have 4 turnovers. He had 2 steals. He had 3 assists. He had 1 rebound. He was 7 of 9 from the free throw line, 6 of 7 from the 3-point line, and he was 12 of 17 from the field in 33 minutes. And so what I liked about Jahmir Young and his game tonight was that he was super aggressive. I liked how he attacked the defense. If you got a chance to look at this, he had several and ones. And so that was a good sign to see, because I wanted to see how he dealt with the physicality as he was going up to lay the basketball in or to shoot it or whatnot. And he was able to finish through that and get some and ones and things like that. And so that was good to see his versatility there. Next, look, I loved how he was ready to go as far as shooting the basketball tonight, because he hit some big time 3-pointers and he showed that he can work off the ball as well. And so I think that that is a huge step as far as his development, because I'm looking at him as just strictly a point guard, but the fact that he can step off ball there and knock down some shots and play off ball, I think that that's huge, because there were times where he was back there with Yuki Kawamura and he knocked down a 3-point shot off ball. And so getting a chance to see his versatility there. And I think that he was just solid for the Chicago Bulls as far as hitting timely baskets and really helping the Bulls get into a rhythm when it just seemed like they couldn't get anything going. And so got to give Jahmir Young a ton of credit, especially coming back from the game 1 performance, because game 1 was certainly a tough game for everybody, but especially him as far as dealing with ball pressure and everything else. But he did struggle with the 4 turnovers, so still a little loose with the basketball. Definitely going to have to work with that. But I loved what I saw offensively from him. And so next, I think the next MVP on the night for me, it was Yuki Kawamura. I thought that his energy was terrific tonight. I think that that is where the game really started to change. Once Yuki Kawamura got out there, you could just tell he had a ton of energy. And every time that he's been out there for the Chicago Bulls, he really has energized the club. And so tonight, he had 9 points. He was +5 in the plus minus box score. He did have 3 turnovers. He had 2 steals. He had 6 assists. He had 3 rebounds. He was 1 of 3 from downtown, and he was 4 of 9 from the field in 24 minutes. And so what I loved about Yuki once more is the creativity. I think that when you see his assist and the way that he's able to find people, I mean, there was one play where he's starting to drive in and he throws a behind the back to the corner there to Pereira, I believe, who knocks down a 3-point shot. That was nice. Comes downhill on a nice little hesitation, no look for a dunk that way. And so, look, there were several plays that were highlights, and I like the fact defensively for him, he was huge. He definitely turned up the volume defensively. He forced an 8-second violation. He also, just forced Milwaukee to just get into situations where they wanted to be ahead of the clock and be across the half court line and get into their offensive sets. And he was just disruptive that way. So I loved what he brought as far as just ball pressure back there. He got some steals and things like that. And so that's something that has been really constant with Yuki Kawamura. And when you look at the turnovers tonight, I think that the turnovers really come from him just trying to create some more, because there was like a turnover where he's trying to throw it over the defense, and probably, the best play there would have been to go for the bounce pass and everything like that. But it would have been electric, because had he got it over the defender, it certainly is going to lead to the dunk. And so, look, I love the thinking here with Yuki Kawamura. I've said it before as well. Like, I wonder, is there a chance where he could somehow get to the Windy City Bulls? Can he get on a two-way deal? Because if Noah Essengue and Lachlan Ubrick are going to be down there and spending some time, you want to make sure that they develop. He's a player that will run that up-tempo style that the Bulls want to run, and he's a true point guard. So he's going to allow you to really work on ball movement and things like that, as far as working off ball as a scorer and things like that. And just knowing that, hey, if I get to a spot, I run, I'm going to get, the basketball in a place to where I can score and things like that. Because yes, it's great that you have an offensive bag, but man, if you can get that part of your game down where you can run the floor and be available like that, you're going to pick up easy baskets that way. And so I think that working with Yuki Kawamura is something that the Bulls should definitely invest in as far as a two-way contract. So we'll see what happens, but he was MVP number 2 on the night for me. And next, look, I think we had some good performances here. And I think that we have to also give, a big time shout out here to, once again, Javon Freeman-Liberty tonight, 23 points, plus 15 in the plus minus box score. He did have 2 turnovers tonight. He had 1 steal. He had 4 assists. He had 8 rebounds today, 7 of 10 at the free throw line. So he continues to get to the free throw line there. Couldn't knock down a 3, and he was 8 of 15 from the field. And so I think that with Javon Freeman-Liberty, he just kind of kept us going. I think that whenever, the offense would get stagnant and things like that, he found ways to draw fouls and just either do that or get to the basket. So got to give him a shout out there for just being a bucket getter. And so he played well. And then also too, I've got to give Pereira a shout out too, because I thought that he was really the highlight reel for the Chicago Bulls tonight. And so if you've not got a chance to see him, he has had some posters, and he had a poster tonight early on. He came in on a nice putback dunk, and so that was electric. Couldn't hit three-point shots, but man, he shot him with a ton of confidence. And so as you see, he was 1 of 6 tonight. He did have 15 points. He was plus 19. He had 2 blocks as well, had 8 rebounds, 4 or 5 from the free throw line, and he was 5 of 10 from the field. And so I definitely loved his energy as far as attacking the basket, and he's done that a couple games. And so, with that being said, the Bulls come back and win the game here. Wanted to go ahead now and take a look here quickly at the team box score here. And so the team box score, I think that one of the key takeaways here is that the Chicago Bulls really left a lot of points at the free throw line, because 24 of 35 for 68.6%. They could certainly do a lot better there. So you got to capitalize off that. Good to see that the Bulls led in rebounding 40 to 35. So that was good to see. The assist, you see the Milwaukee Bucks 23 to 21 there, 8 to 6 with the steals. And so we were just talking about a couple players getting multiple steals out there, blocks 6-6, turnovers 16 to 17, and then the fouls is what I led with here going into this game. As you see, there were a ton of fouls, 35 for the Bucks and 23 for the Chicago Bulls, but that is Summer League. And so the Bulls come back and win 102-96. And so next, wanted to go ahead and jump into preseason as the preseason schedule drops here for the Chicago Bulls. And we're 83 days out. And so if you've not got a chance to see this, you can head over to the Chicago Bulls X page or Twitter, whatever you want to call it nowadays. So you will see that the 7th is when preseason action is going to start here for the Cleveland Cavaliers, or not for the Cleveland Cavaliers, for the Chicago Bulls against the Cleveland Cavaliers, as they will play them twice. You see Cleveland twice, and then it's going to go to Milwaukee here on the 12th. And then after that, the 14th, the Bulls are going to be heading to play the Denver Nuggets, and then it's going to be the Minnesota Timberwolves here. And so, look, this is nice to see this, that the preseason basketball schedule has dropped. It just lets you know know that preseason basketball is right around the corner. And right now, I know we're, far off from that and training camp and everything else, but I can just tell you that I'm looking forward to just seeing what Matas Buziels is going to do here in year two, because I do think that he is set to take a huge step forward. And I think that he really has a chance, man, to really make himself, just maybe the face of the franchise here, depending on how things go here in year two. And next, I think with Noah Essengue, look, I think that we saw some terrific development in his game so far in the summer league. Yes, I get it. But man, I think that when you see Matas Buziels and then also to Noah Essengue put it together like they did in the G League, you can imagine what is going to happen when Noah Essengue really figures out what his thing is in the NBA offensively, because defensively, I think that that's something that's going to click for him. It's just a matter of him finding himself offensively. And I think that Matas Buziels, in the limited time that we saw in Summer League, you can tell he's more comfortable handling the basketball. He's definitely got a ton of confidence. And I do expect that you're going to see him come off that three-point line and not necessarily just get to the rim to dunk the basketball, but I think that you're going to see that he has maybe a little bit more in the mid-range bag this year. And so I'm curious to see that. This is why I said that he could take a major step forward, especially being a part of this young core. And then I'm just presuming that they are going to bring back Josh Giddey, which I do anticipate that. The reports say that from yesterday, and then you would have Kobe White and you have Matas Buziels, and then you'll have Noah Essengue waiting in the fold here. And so let's see what happens, how things go. But preseason is 83 days away, and the Chicago Bulls take care of the Milwaukee Bucks in today's game. So you guys let me know in the comments here what your key takeaways were from tonight's game, as again, there was no Matas Buziels and no Noah Essengue in tonight's game, but we had some very good performances. Talked about this with Jahmir Young. With his 37 points, he actually leads the Summer League with the most points scored in this particular tournament of the Summer League this year. Actually, Tyrese Proctor is second now because he had 35 for the Cleveland Cavaliers. He was a second-round pick out of Duke. And so Jahmir Young leads at this point in time of this recording. The next, talking about Yuki Kawamura, I thought that he was terrific off the bench with the energy, the defense that he provided, and just the assist and just the ability to create. I got to give him a ton of credit. Hopefully he can find his way into a two-way deal with the Chicago Bulls, even though I know that they're full at this point in time. Next, with Freeman-Liberty, I thought that terrific as far as just being a source of offense here for the Chicago Bulls. And lastly, we just talked about it with the preseason schedule drop, and you guys let me know what's your key takeaway here, as preseason is 83 days away. And so, as we always say, look, go Bulls, and I will see you guys on the next one. All right, peace.